Today I'm going to talk to you about the release of the golf club. It is absolutely one of the misunderstood parts of the game. Most people feel like the release of the golf club is an actual motion of your hands and your forearms releasing through the golf shot. That is an absolutely very higher mistake in a high handicap golfer. This is the classic. When they're swinging the golf club, their body stops, the hands release, and their body goes back this way. When that happens, the club face comes in more steeply to the golf ball, completely robbing and stealing them for more distance for the golf shot. Everyone's capable of doing this right here, okay? You can go in front of the mirror and practice this all day long. Hello, I'm Ben Mutz from Ben Mutz Golf. What I'm going to teach you today is what it really means to release the club face through the golf ball. And oddly enough, it has nothing to do with your hands doing the releasing, but it all starts out from the lower body motion coming up through the golf shot and getting your body in proper position. Without a doubt, my golfing friends, that when we learn how to use our lower body to hit a golf shot and we have upper body passivity and have the proper Hogan grip, your hands will automatically release through the golf shot. So what does that mean, and why is the lower body so important when we're doing that? I'm going to go through some demonstrations here a little bit, and I continuously talking about lower body weight transfer. Great golf shots happen when the upper body's passive, the lower body's acting like a Ferrari, okay, getting your center of gravity back over your left inner heel, and then your hands just naturally release through the golf shot. And I never try and physically release my hands through the golf shot. And what happens is that, as I mentioned in the introduction, is that the majority of golfers that are playing golf, they just get confused on how the lower body works. And so they're trying to get the lower body to work. They're coming back here. They're absolutely out of sync, out of balance. Okay, and at the very end, they panic and they say, hit it, and they try and release it. Okay, have you ever seen yourself doing that right here? Okay, all right, that, or they fall back, the ball goes to the right, or they release their hands and the ball goes dead left. So we're going to talk about lower body once again here. The importance of the lower body motion going back and through. Now watch me very closely, and we're going to work extensively today on what the energy feels like from our balancing points from our inner heels here. And I'm going to slow this motion down here. Now watch me very closely. When I do this correctly, okay, when I go back heel tick, okay, my center of gravity goes back into my right inner heel, and now I'm in position to begin the downswing. Now here's the big bugaboo, okay? A lot of golf instruction, a lot of YouTube teachers will talk about the hips, okay, in the lower body, and herein lies the problem. So it's not more or less of what you are doing, it's what you don't want to do, you know, okay? Do you want the green beans or you want the corn, okay? Choose one, okay? I don't want my hips going the wrong direction, and here's exactly where your problem lies when this happens here. If you are thinking about your hips hitting the golf ball, okay, it's more than likely you're thinking about your hips turning, okay, this way, and then on the way down, they turn that way, and the second that happens, that club face is guaranteed to be going on the outside, not the inside. Now watch very closely. When I go back here with my hips turning this way, okay, and then you duplicate that on the way down, and your hips does this by one fraction, boom, that club face is going on the outside of the club. So I got a little clips here. I love Mo Norman, okay. I had a personal opportunity to meet Mo Norman back in the 90s at the PGA show and ask Mo about the movements and the rolling in of the heels. He said, roll the heels, you got to roll the heels. He said, roll the heels, roll the heels. So your lower body has got to be created by having your lower body have the downswing begin with the motion of the right foot rolling in. And this is what keeps that club face on the inside and going in this position right here. So another favorite golfer to watch is Fred Couples, just watching his hip action. And what happens here, people miscalculate what the hip action actually does. Now listen to me very closely. This is a game of fractions. The way our body moves is a game of fractions. I'm going to show you the correct way, and I'm going to show you the incorrect way that the majority of you are doing. And it's really not your fault, because if you are listening to golf instruction, okay, and other golf teachers on YouTube, they're talking about the hips being the power source in golf. Now, I've played high-level sports at different levels in different sports, baseball, basketball, football, hockey, and I can guarantee you footwork, okay, is what creates the energy and power in all sports. So when the teacher talks about the hips are the power source in golf, the student mentally thinks, okay, this is easy. If I move my hips, now listen very closely. I can move my hips without my heels or my feet moving, plain and simple. But if I take my left heel and roll it in, my hips are going to move back automatically. Now watch me very closely. Here's the exact move that Freddie Couples and the great players do. They don't go from here to here, okay? They go from here to here and then here. And that right hip goes lateral. Now watch me very closely. When I'm back here, boom, okay, and when I go back down here, that right hip goes lateral, okay, and then it comes around, okay? So the hips are absolutely going to be making a motion where it's actually coming around down to the perfect target. But the big problem is that you're back here and you're thinking of your hips, and you're like, let's say if you thought about your left hip dropping back, if you drop your left hip back this way, guess what's going that way, this way, and when that happens, watch what the club does. Pretty simple mistake. The majority of golfers are doing is that the hips are moving the wrong way here. They go here, okay, the right hip goes this way, or they think of their left hip dropping back, and the right hip goes that way, and that club is automatically going on the outside of the club. So what's the fix? The fix is proper lower body weight transfer from the ground up here. Now watch me very closely. Why heel tack is so powerful is that it gets those hips moving lateral for that precise moment. Now watch me very closely. If I'm going back here, boom, here, now watch. If my right heel rolls in and my right hip goes lateral this way, okay, where's that club? That club's on the inside. Simple as that, okay? If you are back here and your mind's thinking about taking the club down with your upper body, where's that club gonna go? It's gonna go on the outside. So the only thing, and I mean the only thing you need to work on in the move in golf is making sure that when you're on your backswing, I'm loaded up here, okay? I'm loaded up here, okay? And that right heel is going to roll in, okay, while my right hip goes lateral, just by a fraction. I'm talking about maybe an inch and a half. And at that point here, the continuation of the lower body is going to continue. The club stand on the inside, and this is when the hands are going to naturally just release through the golf shot, okay? The hands will release through the golf shot once you create all the energy coming back down to the golf ball properly. Here, boom, boom, and at that point, this is going to release naturally, and we're not going to force it. So what happens here is that if someone's studying, gee, I want to hit the golf ball further, so I'm going to try and release my hands, they literally take the lower body and shut it down. So watch me very, very close here. This is a great tool, okay, that I received from Y Golf, and I keep practicing with this and actually having my students do this here. I'm going to put it this way right here just so you can get an idea, okay, an exact idea of what the hip does here. Now here, here, now watch. In my methodology, the heel tick rolls in, okay? Now this is a beautiful thing. Now watch very closely. My right hip, in a sense, is almost like going to do a figure eight this way and then this way, and that club's going to stay on the inside 100%. Let me do that with the club one more time here. If you can envision when you're doing this right here, boom, I'm going to go back heel tick, boom, here, okay, and on the downswing, the right heel is going to roll in, and my right, if you notice here about my right hip is like sort of dropping back like a figure eight. Now watch, here's the move, lateral, and that's when the hands release down through the golf shot here. It's just a little precise move that you're going to see all of the major players do this move here. Rory McIlroy does this to perfection. So the misconception 100% is that if the player gets up to the golf ball, they take the golf club back here and they say, gee, I'm going to go ahead and rotate my hips to hit it far. The second they do that, boom, that right heel's lifting up, that club's coming over the top, and you are fighting the entire time, and that's when you're actually trying to release the club and the ball's just going all over the place. So in the sense here, just to end on this, is that if you just get out of your own way of trying to actually have your upper body kill the ball or releasing the ball and let the weight in the center of gravity, okay, of your body get down to this position here, boom, heel tick. Again, now watch here. Okay, now listen, watch very closely and make sure, Chris, when you focus on this, when you edit this, you're focused on this part right here. Okay, the right heel's rolling in, the right butt's really dropping back, and now watch. Boom, that's a Freddie Couples move all day long, and then the body goes through this area right here. Let me go ahead and set it on this side here so you get an idea of what it looks like from here. Remember, so the release of the club has nothing to do with your hands releasing the club. It has everything to do with taking your center of gravity, putting in a position to have a successful golf shot. Now watch me here, dump on the ball, heel tick, boom, here's the move, center of gravity is right here, okay? Very small movement, maybe about an inch here. Now on the downswing, I am doing this motion here, and that's why I love heel tack. Heel tack takes the right hip and rolls it lateral, okay, and then up and around through the perfect target right here. That is the moves. Everyone's capable of doing this right here, okay? You can go in front of the mirror and practice this all day long. This motion here, now watch me, okay? The right heel rolls in, boom, lateral, and then around. And I love this little idea of the figure eight here, where you're here, back here, boom, watch, it's ba-boom and ba-boom. That's a Freddie Couples move all day long. That's a Mo Norman's move all day long. That's a Roy McIlroy's move all day long. As a high handicapper, or somebody here, an 8 handicap golfer is going to do this. A 5 handicap golfer is going to do this incorrectly, where the hips move the wrong way here. So remember, this video is on how to release a club, and so the answer is you don't physically try to do it with your hands and arms. You let the weight of the club head do all of the work for you, okay, with a proper grip right here. Bam, here, boom, 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 bam. That's it. Until next time, hit subscribe, hit like, ding the notification bell. We'll see you in bell. Okay, we'll see you next time.